Problem is, when you need that personal assistant around you for 24 hours a day, life can prove to be a bit tricky.
I find having personal assistants around all the time, it can be hard work. Even when you get on really well with someone, it is difficult because it's a bit like having constant shadow, really.
I do not ever employ friends. I always employ a stranger. And at the base of that, you always have the contract of employment.
Social situations can be a nightmare.
There was one time when I had a particular personal assistant who naturally was a very sort of chatty person, and I came back one evening with some friends, and this particular person just like rabbited on and on because they couldn't sort of almost fit their personality with the environment that they were in, the fact that really they were supposed to be working and they should back off a bit. My friend knows me well and she knew that I was like inwardly seething at this point, but I don't think the personal assistant picked up on it.
She was just crying and crying and crying the whole time.
Techniques for dealing with that kind of thing, I don't think you can apply any set of rules, but I think when you've had like an experience like that, you do learn for next time that if you know that person is like that, then you have to try and say, look, do you mind just backing off a bit?
You know, whenever I go out to different friends' houses or whatever, I will actually say to them, I'll actually give them a briefing. I'll actually say to my PA, right, well tonight it's only meeting a few friends in a pub. And as long as you don't sort of take over the whole evening, it's fine for you to join in a bit and have a bit of a conversation. But then other times I might actually say, well no, if it's okay with you, do you mind either staying out in the car or going for a drive for a bit, or even sitting at another table?
Once you've made the firm decision that your personal assistant should be seen and not heard,
I had a really hard day today at work. I had to have a meeting with my boss about some work I've done.
you may find that your friends don't get the idea.
Yeah, so I think it'll be a really good idea, this project, but I want your opinions on it, really.
What about your views on the project, Neil? What have you think about it?
I don't really know much about it, to be honest.
It's actually very hard for friends and colleagues to know sort of how to cope with having someone else around.
I have got a spare room in my flat, and there are occasions when I'll say to the personal assistant, do you want to go and sit in the other room? Just like to give me some space, sometimes even when I'm on my own, just because it is such a drain having someone around all the time. But again, there's some people it's easier to do that with, because some people are more switched on in their head to the fact that people need personal space, and they will offer to do it, or they'll even do it automatically.
And then Boxing Day wasn't any better. She still didn't want to go out.
It's when you actually have to say to someone, can you go away? Which is hard for all concerned, I think, really. I think my reservations about doing it is it almost feels quite unnatural, because when you spend time with someone, you should want to spend time with that person. And I hate the thought of treating somebody like a servant, saying, right, you're dismissed now, I don't need you. Because obviously, with a personal assistant, you have to build up some sort of relationship, or else it'd just be horrible, really. So it's quite hard at some points to draw back and say, right, you know, now I'm me, and you're essentially my employee, and go away. It's a tricky balance, really.
Sometimes when we finish work, I might give a work colleague a lift home. Yeah, that's actually a good time if you're giving someone a lift home to have a moan about work and have a bit of a gossip. I'm sitting in the back of the vehicle and the work colleague's in the front with PA driving. My work colleague might sort of ask the PA about the weather. And that's fair enough, the two humans talking. But if I'm actually trying to actually have a bit of a serious chat or a friendship chat with with my friend, it's difficult to do.
Thanks a lot, bye. There was one particular time when I just started working, and the personal assistant I felt had all the skills at that point which I didn't have. And I felt quite intimidated because she was being very efficient in like an office environment, which was quite new to me. So she was like tidying my desk and sort of asking questions. And I ended up thinking, well, you might as well do the job then.
And when I'm in a work setting or a conference setting, quality time at a conference is to meet people in the lunch hour. and suddenly I have my PA come in to help me feed and get a drink and stuff.
So you're on my back at sort of...
I get the feeling that sometimes people will not come to talk to me because I'm already talking to someone. People assume the most ridiculous things about what my PAs are.
One way to get to grips with the situation is to brush up on your management skills.
Good morning, Jacqueline. Here's your itinerary for the day. 1:05 p.m, prepare lunch. There is a perception that personal assistant users should approach the relationship with their assistants like being in a managerial position with your employees. But really that's quite an artificial idea, and I don't think it really applies, because basically you're two people that have to work together in a certain environment, and one person being in a higher position than another, it doesn't really work. 2:30 p.m, tea break for 10 minutes only. 2:40 p.m, load washing machine and prepare evening meal. I'm not a business, I'm just me, and obviously I want to get on with the person that's working with me as my personal assistant.
Is there anywhere around here?
Now I might be out in the pub with the nice young lady and thinking, well, yeah, she's quite nice, so I've got to do those normal flirty, chat-uppy type things.
And now for the ultimate in gooseberry syndrome.
Then at the end of the night I've still got to get home, and so my PA walks in, which is a bit like your mum taking you home. If my male PA comes in, you know, it can be, oh, his brother's come to pick him up, or his lover's come to pick him up. And then just the normal way that relationship builds is always very difficult, because, you know, it's sort of part of that as a bonding of two humans or whatever, and there's always two humans plus another.